everything is going to be based on this pocket stick right here. This is called the Yawara. There are other names for it in different styles of Asian martial arts. It's basically a loaded fist. That means when you close your fist around it and you strike somebody for self-defense, you're going to hit with a lot more force. You also usually have a bit of the stick coming out of both sides of the hand that you can use to apply some pressure in a strike and increase the power of your strike. So we're going to talk about different types of pocket sticks. This one's just super simple. I make a lot of these. They're not very fancy. You can see they're not ever even. They don't ever seem to come out even, but they're very effective. And when I carry this one, especially, no one's ever questioned me on it. I've carried these through TSA many, many times. They've never even come out of my bag. They don't look at them. But if they do, I would mention that I carry this for massage. This is my massage stick. It has a little pressure point that I can apply pressure to the pressure points in my muscle to make them release. I can roll the fascia out, and that's what these are used for in a lot of cultures anyway. But I carry it for self-defense. It started, this idea that I had today, I was with one of my children. We were running some errands. We were going into two big box stores that around here have become magnets for a lot of criminality in the parking lots. So everything from carjackings over the last few months to just really aggressive people approaching and then physically putting their hands on people and trying to take things from them as they go into the parking lot. Now, I carry a self-defense tool here inside my pants that I always carry. I carry that wherever I go when I'm out, where I'm allowed to. I cannot take that into a lot of places like ball games. I can't take that into like a music theater, or like if I'm going to a concert or something with my wife. But you can carry these anywhere you go. I'm going to show you different palm sticks or pocket sticks that you can use for self-defense. And I wanted to show you some basic strikes and show you some exercises that I do to increase the power of my strike so that I can hit harder and faster when I need to. Now, the reason that I carry that in addition to this, I also carry this utility tool for self-defense and obviously for utility. I use this probably once a day to open something. People ask me sometimes, why do you have a knife? I say, in case something needs cut, and that's a true answer. So you can carry one of these, but again, you can't take this you can't take it to TSA, you can't take it on the airplane. I told you already, I've taken this many times in my backpack as I travel my carry-on. There's no way you're gonna get this and then your beautiful self-defense tool or utility tool is gonna be taken away and thrown in a box, and then they're gonna sell it to somebody or they're gonna snatch it at the end of their shift or whatever. Anyway, so I carry this on me all the time. I mentioned before, I have, I've got a safe in my truck, and I have a tool that I carry with me on my person wherever I can. And especially when I go to these I had two stops. I'm not going to mention the names of the stores, but if you live in the United States and you live in a community that has, retail shops or hardware type stores, you go to them all the time, or you know what I'm talking about, and they're becoming more and more dangerous. You start to see all of these things in the parking lot with the cameras and the solar panels, and then they have the loudspeaker, and that's to try to cut down on all the assaults and all the attacks and all the car break-ins and all the carjackings that are happening. And so depending on what the situation is, I might need to use this. I might have to use this because they caught me off guard and I can't use this, or it might not be a lethal self-defense situation. I might just need to increase the power of my strike. So the first purpose of the palm stick, or the Yawara, we also call it the pocket stick, because it is easily concealed, carried in your pocket, front pocket, back pocket. You put your hand in there, you come out here, and it's closed. I'm left-handed, and there's a hard, extremely powerful strike because your knuckles, your fists, your fingers aren't compressing. So it's like carrying a roll of quarters. So it's a loaded fist. That's the first thing. Now, from the loaded fist, you have just basic strikes. You have your hooking strikes, you have your uppercuts, all the basic strikes you would do with a punch. And again, you're going to hit so much harder. And sometimes boxers in the old days, and sometimes in other countries when they cheat, they will stick something in their hand when they put their gloves on. And then there are all these stories and accounts of people with broken jaws or head injuries or even broken skulls or the occipital bones and all that. and it's because they're hitting so much harder. So it's a real thing. You're going to generate so much more power when you stick the pocket stick in your hand. So you have these basic strikes coming forward. You can bring it down this way. If he's behind you, you can bring it into his groin, into the fascia, between the belly button. You can swing coming this way. A good way to knock somebody out is with that reverse elbow strike, striking to his jaw. If he's too far, then you just extend your fist. And now as you're coming through, you're extending and you're hitting with the point there and hitting again with a lot more force. You can bring it around this way. If you're turning through your shoulders and your hips, your whole arm is coming through. That huge long lever from the distance between your fist and your shoulder is significant. You can reach out, you can hit harder, you can hit so much more force. Think about what you can remove or destroy, coming from Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. I put the links below if you want to see what I sell these for, or make your own. This is just a dowel rod. Cut it down to about 6 inches and then just carve points to the end. And some points I make rounder and some points I make pointier. And then I just sand it with like an 80 grit to get the hard stuff off, and then 120, and I go down to 220 and make it really soft. And then I soak it in mineral or cutting board oil for 2 days. And then you wipe it with a rag and you burnish the oil in it by wiping really hard, getting all that oil off so it's not too oily when you stick it in your pocket. And you can make your own for a couple bucks. So make one or train with one of these, and then you can carry something else. This is another example. You see, I brought 2 of them, the little boy and the big fat cousin there, big chunky guy. This one, when you hold this, and they're plastic, so they are going to compress a little bit, but you know, Sharpie's always made a really high quality product. They last for a long time. They have a lot of ink in them, so they make the plastic really hard. And when you hold it, you can see it's almost exactly the same length. I've never measured it, but it seems to be about 6 inches. And it's about the same length as my pocket stick. Again, something you carry in your pocket, carry in your coat pocket, your shoulder, or your chest pocket. If you're an engineer or you're a nerd like I am, and you have a pocket in your shirt, you can carry it in there, you can carry it in your shirt. Just stick it in your pocket. You have these in your backpacks. And if you have nothing else, let's say you're in a non-permissive environment like your office, your school, you have access to a pocket stick that you can easily defend yourself with, a pocket self-defense stick, and this thicker Sharpie. And it also works with the thinner Sharpie. And again, you use this point here, bringing it down, think about striking in the eye, the nose, into this part right here. There's a lot of nerves right in there, coming into his chin, into the throat. That can be a fatal strike, even with this simple tool right here for self-defense. So you have to watch where you're striking, only if it's appropriate. You can hit him in the solar plexus. You can come lower, anywhere in the center line of the body, swinging it in this way, turning your whole body into it. You're going to do a lot of damage with this. Not as much as a hard piece of oak like this one, but you're still going to be able to defend yourself. Especially, like I said, if you are in an office, if you are in the classroom, if you're in your schoolroom, maybe you're a student and you're afraid that somebody might come in and you don't have anything else to defend yourself with, you grab one of these, squeeze it as tightly as you can, and then when you strike, you're going to hit so much harder because you have a loaded fist. The load is not necessarily the weight of the thing that's in your hand. That loaded fist is that your fingers aren't going to compress that much. They will a little bit more because it's plastic than it would on the wood, but still very effective. And you can take these anywhere you go. These are hidden self-defense tools. I forgot to bring it out, the dry erase marker. Those are also the Expos, especially. You get like a name brand dry erase marker. Those things are nearly indestructible. Throw that in your hand, nearly, because you can destroy them. But again, it's better than nothing. If you need to hit somebody who's bigger than you, somebody who's faster, 3 ways to generate maximum striking force when you put a pocket self-defense stick in your hand is that extension and that turning through your shoulders and hips. And then when you're stepping in, even if you're just leaning your body forward and you're coming forward, don't lead with your chin, lead with your fist. You're coming forward and striking, holding this as tightly as you can. You're going to generate a lot of knockout power. You hit him in the right part, right in the chin, right in the nose, smash his nose, punch him in the throat, punch him in the stomach, punch down. You know, sometimes all of his focus is here and you need to go down into his stomach here and you catch a lot of guys off guard that way, especially if you take that front foot as you're striking, you step into it, you can create a lot of damage hitting into his stomach and then follow up punching. That way you can put one in each hand and then generate that stopping power, that maximum force, hitting somebody with a pocket self-defense stick. Now these obviously are pretty common almost anywhere you go. I'm going to show something else. It's extremely common and effective in many ways. There's another pocket self-defense stick. Obviously, this is a super bright flashlight. If you are walking to the car at night or you're walking home from class, you're in an area where you're not familiar, you put this in your hand. Now you have your loaded fist. And this is a very nice, hard but they're not expensive. This is really inexpensive. LED lights, so it's extremely bright. Your thumb goes here on the back. You're squeezing hard. You have this beveled edge. That is going to rip the flesh off of his face for self-defense. Remember, it's about where do you strike or hit. Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer, there's a link below. If you look in the links, you can see that he talks about what you can remove or destroy for self-defense, their ability to see or breathe temporarily, permanently, their ability to stand up. Maybe you hit them here, maybe you hit them a little bit lower. And you can do all the same things here. Plus, you have the advantage if you're walking home at night with this pocket self-defense stick, you can blind them. And so you might not even have to hit him. Maybe you just blind him and you create distance. And by the time he sees, or maybe there's 2 or 3 of them, they can't close the distance and can't get you. Or if you don't have any other choice, you realize they're on you too close, you still blind them, and then you strike, and you're going to extend through your shoulders and hips, you're going to extend that arm, turn through the shoulders and hips, and step in, generating maximum force. And it doesn't have to be this thick and chunky. I have big hands, obviously. This one feels good. I've got one of these in my self-defense bag, and I also have tourniquets, and I have chest seals, and I've got all the good Band-Aids and the tweezers and all the other stuff, the sewing kits, all the things you need to help somebody or to stop somebody for self-defense. And I carry one of these. Anywhere I go, I have one of these in my nightstand. And my self-defense tool, I have one on the end of it. The one that I keep close to in the house to protect my family at night. If I have to, I hear something in the middle of the night. Everywhere I go, I've got that light on the end so that I see them before they see me, and hopefully it blinds them, and we can do it verbally. I get out of my house, I'll have to defend myself, or whatever it takes to defend your family. But always remember, it's your God-given right for self-defense. Man doesn't give you the right. It's God from above who gives us our right. I want to keep throwing that in there because it's like salt in the wound of some silliness that I keep hearing out there. Anyway, carry one of these in the car. I've got these everywhere. I've got probably about 11 or 12 of these, and they last forever. Make sure you keep your batteries fresh. If you have them stored somewhere and you can go get them, have your batteries separate in a little plastic container. That way you can put them in. If it's something like the one in your car or next to the bed, you keep the batteries in it, and just make sure you check it every once in a while. You don't want them to get corroded, because that is what ruins all your electronics. All right, I want to show you another version of the wooden pocket stick. And I don't know if they're making these anymore. They were for a while. They just redesigned their website. Cane Masters. I put the link below. Cane Masters, if you want to go take a look at what they sell. Cane Masters has what I think is the best self-defense tool you can carry. Especially, it's not a pocket self-defense stick. You can't conceal it, but it's a gray man option. You're allowed to carry anywhere and everywhere you go. We saw in Australia a couple weeks ago a couple of different incidents where there were knife attacks, and some guys in the mall. I think one guy stabbed 7 or 8 people, and then finally the guy picks up a bollard, which is one of those things that keep you out of going places you're not supposed to. And it's just a metal pole with a hard, big round weight at the end to keep him from falling over. And that was enough to keep the guy back. If you have something like this, you snatch it up between his legs, you swing it down to the top of his head, bring it through his face. You can bring it for self-defense, right? You can use 2 hands, you can shove it through his face. You can use this nasty tooth, rip the eyes out of his head for self-defense. But you can't carry it away. Think about the knife. If he's got a knife and you don't have anything, you're in big trouble. There are things you can do. Put your helmet on. We can talk about that. But if you have a long piece of oak or hickory or wood or metal, a self-defense cane or regular walking cane, look at the length discrepancy, the the distance. He's got his knife, he's coming at you, even if it's one of those big old kitchen knives that they seem to like because they're so effective, you still have 36 inches between you and him at least. You can jab him, you can keep him off. So this is my favorite self-defense tool that I do carry with me. I carry 2 of these in the car, a fancy one and this one, and then I have many options. I had to use that recently when I had my hip replaced. That's why it's near me wherever I go. But I'll show you this. This is made by the same company that makes that, which is the point. And this has a titanium tip. And that's a window breaker. And if you live here in Florida like I do, or anywhere where there's a lot of water, a lot of canals. We just recently had, I think it was an off-duty police officer going home at night. They don't know what happened or whatever, but he ended up in the canal, couldn't get out. I don't know if he's incapacitated or he didn't have his window breaker, but always have window breakers when you live near water. And this, you just put it in your hand like that, jam, hits that window, it's going to snap it because of the point. That's also effective for self-defense. They're essentially the same thing, just a hard piece of wood. This one has something obviously goes around your hand to keep it from coming out. And then it has a more rounded point here. And then of course that window breaker. And then you've got the effect of that loaded fist as you bring that in, smashing, breaking his jaw for self-defense. Or maybe you smash the nose into his face and the blood and the snot comes out and he can't see because his eyes are watering for self-defense. Or you have to bring it down this way. Maybe he does have a weapon or a knife, or he's trying to, you've seen him hurt other people. Maybe you're with your family and he's trying to get to your kids or your wife or your husband, and you have to stick this in a little bit, what you can remove or destroy. That's a little bit nastier for self-defense, but it's very effective. I also wanted to show you, and this is one I haven't showed you. I've had these for a while. It's from a company called Tie Rod Tactical, and I did put the link below. I don't get anything from this, but this is something he sent me. And it's a passion of this gentleman. I can't remember his name. I've got his card over here. But he's got this nice hard piece of rubber. And I forget, he described to me, we had a nice conversation. He described to me how he makes these. They're very effective. I've struck many things with this. And he makes them in all different lengths and sizes. And I just wanted to show you one more option for the pocket self-defense stick. Because as pocket self-defense sticks go, this one is unbreakable, it's unbendable, it's probably some kind of aircraft grade titanium if that's a thing. And when you hit with it, that hard piece of rubber there, it's actually soft, but it's the way it's attached on here, it's not moving. I can't get it to move, it's not coming off. You might be able to cut it off, but it looks like it's pretty tough. And you're able to defend yourself. Now I did want to show you some things because as I thought about this story of this gentleman, what am I talking about? This piece of scum, this dirt bag, this scum bum who punched this little girl at 9 years old. I think she was in Grand Central Station having lunch with her mom or something. And this piece of dog excrement had just been arrested like 2 weeks before for punching a 54-year-old woman in the face. And I think he broke her jaw. And so she's suffered. You can imagine the trauma and the pain and the medical bills of this woman, and then they take him in front of the judge, and the judge says, let him go because of whatever their beliefs are in that city. Anyways, so this guy is back out on the streets 2 weeks later. Who knows how many people he's assaulted since then. He's got a rap sheet like you wouldn't believe. And he goes up this mom sitting there with her 9-year-old daughter. That's the same age as my daughter, which I think is why it makes me so extremely angry. And he goes up to her and he punches her in the head, puts her in the hospital, and seriously injures, traumatizes this mom and her daughter. Who knows where the men were in that area, why they didn't just jump him and bring him to the ground and teach him a lesson before the cops could come and take him back in front of the judge. And they gave him some big bond or something because it probably hit the news and it looked bad for their political beliefs or whatever. But the truth of the story is, he's one person that represents thousands of these criminally insane people from all over the world now who are in our big cities and in your city and all over the place, hurting people, harming people, not to mention all of the mental illness that's being caused by just the whole world being on fire right now. And so I want you to be safe. And so I was thinking about, how if you don't have any tool, or if you did have a tool other than one of these, because a lot of places that you live, you can't carry a gun. You can't carry a knife. You can't carry these. If you can open it with one hand, you can't carry this. This is now illegal in Canada, believe it or not. Believe it. I mean, right? It's obvious what's happening. But the point is, you still have this, which is the most important self-defense tool, your mind, your ability to think, your belief in your freedom and your God-given right for self-defense. And then you can train yourself. Your elbows are extremely effective. One of my favorite things to do is have you put your helmet on, which just means bring your hand to your head. When the punch is coming in, whether he's swinging, even if he's coming in with a bladed weapon, cover up, putting your hand here, puts all of this stuff here. All these, you don't want to expose. One of the most common things that people do is they recoil in fear as they're being swung at with a machete or hatchet or a knife, and they'll do this. It's instinctive. It's hard not to do that unless you've trained, which is why we're training, to do the opposite, which is to go like this. And by doing this, you now have exposed the back of the arm, which doesn't have all the veins and the arteries and the soft tissue. It has some muscle, it has some other stuff here, but it has far less than this. This can be a fatal blow. This, you can save your life. And if you close the distance at the same time by stepping in, getting your elbows in, and driving this elbow into his body, into his face, into the center line of the body. So you're using your whole body, you're stepping and coming forward if you can, and trying to drive this elbow into his face for self-defense, you're going to disrupt what he's doing. And if he's swinging at you like this, his arm is now going to either wrap around your body and not get you, or it's going to hit you less. It's not going to be as forceful of a strike. Once you're in here, then you can bring that other elbow forward, hitting with this bone here. And the way that you do that, you point your palm to the floor. If your palm is facing you, then all this muscle is going to hit. It's not as bad, but it's not going to hurt him as much. We want to hurt him for self-defense as much as we possibly can. We want him to stop attacking. We want him not to hurt our children. We want him to stay away from us. And we told him to back up, and he's closed the distance, and he's on top of you, and you're covered here, and then you bring this one forward, or you bring this one up, or you bring this one down at an angle, or you lift up. Maybe he's closed the distance, he's grabbed around your body. You bring this hand out of it because you can push it straight up, and then you're bringing this part down onto his nose or his face, into his clavicle, into the top of his chest, and then you just keep going and hitting and striking as forcefully as you can until he stops trying to hurt you. It's what you can remove or destroy for self-defense. Against that link is below. Let's say you don't have your pocket self-defense stick. I think I just got these new lavalier mics I've been playing around with. Got too excited, popped it off. But I wanted to show you how to get some power, some extra stopping power, whether you're using your pocket self-defense stick or you're using those elbows or a fist or palm strikes. Palm strikes are very effective. You want to get in what's called the flinch block. This is, the name's going to fail me now, spear training. Tony Blauer. Tony Blauer came up with the flinch block. Tony Blauer is one of the best. I think Tim Miller, we just said Tim Larkin, When Violence is the Answer. Tim Miller's from Lionheart Skills, and then Tony Larkin from Spear. The three of the best practical self-defense guys, no fancy martial arts, been there, done that. They understand it, they get it, they lived it, but they've transcended that because they've had to really teach people and they've had to really use self-defense. And they work with some of the best, and they are some of the best. And so you have these guys, and they're trying to teach you what practically works. And it's not, and nothing against the Wing Chun, and nothing against the Jiu-Jitsu, and nothing against the Taekwondo, and nothing against the Karate, and the Tang Soo Do, and we can go on, and it's the Kung Fu's and all that, and the Bruce Lee stuff and all that. That's all great, and it works best in the movies when you have a stuntman fighting another stuntman. But when it comes to defending yourself on the street, you want to hit as hard as you possibly can. You want to remove or destroy what you can, and you want to use violence against violence to make them stop. But I wanted to show you how to get more power. If you have one of these, and this is something that I've been training with, because the doctor said, don't go to the gym until I give you a release. And so I haven't been going to the gym, but I have a rubber band. So I don't know if that's cheating or not, but I got to do something. And so one of my favorite exercises, you step in the band, you bring your elbows into the band, and then you bend, and then you just extend. And you just do this exercise. And I've heard people call this the Tom Brady. And I've never seen, I think I've maybe seen a clip of Tom Brady play once. And I know he's a good looking guy and he was married to a good looking lady and that didn't work out or something. You know, that's all the stuff I know about Tom Brady, and that he supposedly does that and it keeps him young and in the game longer, although I don't know if he's retired or not. But the point is, that's going to put power in your legs. Every strike comes off the ground as you're pushing through the feet, the heels, the toes, the side of the foot, and you're coming through your spine, you're turning through the shoulders and the hips, the knees, everything's coming off the floor when you strike, whether it's a punch, a palm strike, or you're using your pocket self-defense strike, that loaded weight. Everything's going to come off that way. So when you do this band, and these are so inexpensive. Rockwood asks, is that band for big parcels? I think maybe you mean muscles. Yeah, you can create more muscle with that for sure. But you can, if nothing else, you're going to lean out and you're going to create dense, fast muscle. So your muscle is going to be more explosive. You're going to hit harder. Your joints, everything has less pressure and stress on it. So it's a nice, easy way to get extremely strong. And it's, I mean, the farther you go away from the base, in other words, the more it stretches, just like a rubber band, the more resistance you have. And you want that. You want to accelerate through those strikes. That means when you hit them, you want to be just on your way to increasing that power and going, you want to punch through them for self-defense. And so that first exercise, using your band, and start with a thin band. This is kind of a medium band. This is making me sweat. It's getting my heart rate up. And when you come up, explode and press. And I've had this band for years, and I've done this thousands and thousands or tens of thousands of times. You're never going to break it. I put a link below if you want to get one of these bands, Zach. But you can also, I find these a lot at the places like TJ here in the United States, like discount stores, TJ Maxx, all their brands, Home Goods, Marshalls. You can get these at like Walmart, Target. They have these, and they're really, really, really inexpensive. You can get an entire gym's worth of exercises. One of my favorites is come here over the back and then just do standing push-ups, right? You do standing push-ups, you can bring it in. And the whole purpose of these push-ups is not to get, good-looking muscles and go to the beach. It's to get knockout power to stop somebody. You can also work on your speed, get your heart rate up. You can attach this to something and you can pull on it. You're going to get even faster that way. You can throw it under your feet. And you can curl. A lot of people don't know that curling is when you come in with a hard hook punch or an uppercut. A lot of times your hand snaps back. It's the snap back and the ability to snap back that creates that knockout power. And so you want to have these things in self-defense. You want to have the ability to knock somebody out. You have to do a little bit of exercise, and it's not going to slow you down. If you go to the gym and you sit down on the machines and you do the same static exercise, or you get the weights out, you get big, bulky, pretty muscles like a bodybuilder, you're going to be slow for most people. Like most, and you'll see them every once in a while. You see two big muscle guys in the gym lose their temper, probably because one's sitting on his phone, the other one wants to use the equipment, or who knows why, and then they start to fight. Or you saw it with the two big guys from the Ultimate, the strongman competition. It was Brian Shaw and Bjornsson, the guy that played the Mountain in Game of Thrones. And they got in a beef because I think the Mountain said that Brian Shaw cheated, which he obviously didn't, because I remember watching that. And his blood now they were mad at each other, they wanted to fight. And it became a celebrity thing, and I forget who won. It's so silly. But watching them train, the point is they're so big, even though they both cut weight and everything, they're so big that they look like they could hurt each other, but they don't punch fast enough. and their mechanics are wrong. So you don't have to be big. You can be half my size and knock me out, easily, if you know how to punch right. And you see it all the time, 60, 70-year-old, 80-year-old men, women who can generate knockout power because the whole life they learned how, they were boxers or boxing coaches. And every once in a while, or they just know how to punch and they connect the right way and they can knock you out. So don't worry about your size. Size doesn't matter. But if you do want to increase speed and power, you can do that with one of these bands. All right. Anyway, King of Gaming, welcome, Tab, Nebraska. Yeah, Eddie Hall. Thank you. Not Brian Shaw. Thank you. I'm not good with names. I love those guys. I always dreamt of being a strongman. And then you read that those guys, I think Eddie Hall is what, 6'3", Brian Shaw, 6'9", Thor Bjornsson, whatever his name is, Halfjord, I think it is, 6'9", Bill Kazmaier, I think he was 6'3" or 6'5". All those guys are just so big and massive. And I love to go to those competitions and see those guys in person, like especially like at the Arnold, because I used to live in Columbus, Ohio, and I was at Arnold 1, Arnold 2, Arnold 3, the Arnold Schwarzenegger show in Columbus, Ohio, all the first ones. And then you see these guys, and I would feel like, and I'm always been big, like big, wide, taller than most people, wider than most people for sure, not taller. And I'd feel like a tiny little peanut standing. Like one time I got to see Refrigerator Perry. So you guys remember him from the Bears, and he was a center, and he got so big they didn't even let him play for a while. But I remember standing next to him and feeling tiny, and like the big WrestleMania guy, Hulk Hogan, that guy. You stand next to some guys like that, and you just feel like you're just a tiny little person. And I like that because I've always felt like I'm too big. I remember sitting next to this Samoan. We were flying. I was in Hawaii. I was going to the Big Island, and all these Samoans got on the plane. They were day laborers, and they were flying back and forth from Honolulu to the Big Island where they lived, and Hilo. And we were sitting on the plane, and I sat in the very back of the plane, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that the guy crossed his arms like this, and his elbow was above my head. He was that big, and he was like a gentle giant. He was very sweet. He was very kind to talk to. But I was just like, I couldn't breathe, right? Some people are just that big. The point is, you don't have to be that big to hurt somebody or stop somebody in self-defense. You know how to defend yourself, then you have to. And I'm going to finish with this story because I saw another thing. For those of us who see our bodies changing and feel our age and feel like things are changing. It was an 85-year-old woman, special needs son, grown son, 85 years old. They live in this home. She owned a pawn shop. Somebody who knew who she was. She knew like his cousin or somebody. She knew the family. Just, a bad, nasty person. The guy parks his truck down the street, walks down. He's got handcuffs and rope and mask on, and he's got his guns with him. And he's going to steal everything she's got and hurt her and who knows what else. And has her tied up or something. And she ends up having like a 357 under her pillow. And she's in the bedroom, and she says to herself, at some point, I'm going to have to defend myself against this guy because he's going to kill me and my son after he takes our stuff. And she shoots this guy. He shoots back. She gets shot like 4 or 5 times. She finishes him. But the point is, it's here. She's 85 years old, but she had the mentality that, and it's this indignation. You have to be able to flip a switch in your head from fear, because when we have fear, we either freeze or we flee or we fight. Most people just freeze, and then let things happen to them. Some people can run. If you can run, run. Other people will fight. And this woman was able to flip that switch and say, not me. You're not going to do this to me, and you're not going to do this to my son, you punk piece of dog excrement. I don't care if I take you with me, but you're not getting out of here. 85 years old. This woman, I think she's recovering in the hospital. Sheriff said, we will not charge her. It's obviously, clear case of self-defense, which is another thing that I want to say, because people will jump in the comments every once in a while and say, well, you can't do that. You can't carry that pocket self-defense stick. If you carry that pocket self-defense stick, you're going to jail, and just name the country, name the city. Well, I don't care. Tell them whatever you want. Just tell them don't put the points on it. Just get a piece of dowel rod. It doesn't have to be pointy. Piece of dowel rod, cut it 6 inches, sand it down, oil it up, wipe it off, stick it in your pocket. And if someone asks you, you've got to, I've got to fix the closet when I get home tonight, and this is the piece of wood I'm going to, tell them whatever you want. It's none of their business. But then if you do use it for self-defense and you do break someone's jaw with it, don't worry about whether their law is going to come after you or whatever. My point is, don't just roll over and take it. The time for that is over. We were given the right, we turn the other cheek. If we can do that, we do that, right? We pray. I pray all the time. I pray for tolerance and kindness and love, and I pray for safety, and I pray a hedge of protection around my family. But I'm also ready to defend my family as the father, as the husband, as the man in this situation. And the rest of my family is too. So don't be afraid to defend yourself. Don't be afraid to carry a tool of self-defense. Pick this pocket self-defense tool you like. It can be this simple Yawara. Again, I put the link below if you want one of these ugly ones that I make. Or I don't know if you can get these anymore. I'll try to make one of these, but I'm not a woodworker. But that's fancy. You can see that. You could probably, some of you guys can make this easily. Or the tie rod tactical. I put that link below. Again, this is just a guy who sent me something one time, asked me what I thought, and I never got around to making a video on it. Carry the Sharpie. Get yourself one of those Expo dry erase markers, or get 2 or 3, one for each hand, and then one in case it breaks, and one to write on his face. For when the cops get there, you can write, here's the bad guy, so they know, scoop him up, write down what he did. Or something super practical. Get yourself a self-defense. Yeah, it's a God-given right. Thank you, Red Dog. That's our right from our Creator. And man might not agree, but defend yourself. There's that saying, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And I know, I mean, we can look around and see that some things don't seem fair right now, but do the right thing anyway. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself. It's what I've been teaching bully. In addition to self-defense, I've been teaching bully awareness and bully prevention in schools for 30 years. And the first thing I say is, you put up your hands and you say, you don't have to like me, but you can't call me that name. You don't have to like me. You cannot touch me. You don't have to like the way I look, what I say, how I speak, the color of my skin, my gender, what I like to do in my spare time, how I dress, how I talk. You don't have to like any of that, but you have no right to put your hands on me. And if you do, I will defend myself. So get out of my face. And don't say please, and don't say it in a soft voice. Say, don't touch me. And don't say it hurts my feelings when you punch me in the face. No, it doesn't. It hurts your face. So get your hands up and say, don't touch me. Don't tell them that hurts your feelings. They know that. That's why they're picking on you, right? That's what the thug, the criminal, is coming after you to hurt you. He knows that it hurts you. Don't try to say to the guy getting ready to stab you to death, it hurts my feelings that you're going to stick that knife in me. No, it doesn't. It's going to hurt you much worse than that. Then you're going to realize sticks and stones really don't break your bones, and it's that knife that takes your life, right? So you need to learn how to speak up for yourself. And just that skill of speaking up for yourself will make you stand a little taller, make you see what's happening around you. You get your situational awareness back. You won't be stuck on your phone. You won't be walking around like a victim. You'll carry yourself in a way that people will see you and say, I don't want any part of that. And it doesn't matter what you look like or how old you are or what your challenges are, your physical challenges. Some people carry themselves in a way. You will carry yourself in a way that just exudes confidence because you've taken a decision. You've taken a decision that God gave you the right for self-defense, and you've done a little bit of training, and you're ready to see what's happening around you. And it's funny, you mark my words, you start to do this, something will happen in your head, you'll be standing around people, and you have all these thoughts, you become Jason Bourne in your head, and you think, if this guy comes, I'm going to do this. This guy comes, I'm going to smash him here, I'm going to bring my knee this way, palm strike this one, I'm going to pick that up and stick it in his, and all that stuff's going to pop in your head. And you're just going to carry yourself a little bit different. And you're going to see what's around you. You're going to see the bigger picture, and you're going to calm down. And we always want to calm down in self-defense. Don't slow down, calm down. And you do that with the breath, right? And that breath and that just a little tiny bit of confidence that grows and grows and grows. And your mind can go in 2 directions. All the things that can happen bad to you, all the things that you can make happen that are good to you. And so since you have the power to decide, you also have to correct your posture, get your chin up, get off your phone, uncross your arms, because when your arms are crossed, you're withdrawn, and your head's down, you're going to become depressed very quickly. You start to look around, you start to force yourself to breathe, you start to engage with people, smile at people, say hello to people, get your social skills back, and then your confidence will grow. And then instead of your mind going to all the places where everything's going to hurt you, you'll start to go to all the places where you can be of assistance, you can be of help. You see the beauty in the world that you don't see. You start to hear the birds chirp again. You start to see the flowers bloom again. You start to see how beautiful some architecture is. And that all happens when you get your chin up and you start to see. And I've been doing this for so long that I know to the core of my being that that is the truth. That's the truth for so many people that I've worked with. It'll be your truth at some point. And when it is your truth, please put that in the comment section. And if you think I'm full of poop, put that in the comment section. You don't agree with me? Put it in there and then we can talk about it, or say, hey, I don't even want to talk about it. I just don't agree. And I'm okay to disagree, because we should be able to disagree and still be kind to one another and still live in the same world and still, you don't have to like me, but we can be polite. I don't have to like you. That's the power of saying, you don't have to like me, because I realize, well, I don't have to like you, and I won't. Now, maybe later, I grow to love you, right? And that happens too. You find somebody, you don't like anything about them, but you choose to be kind, and you choose to be polite, and you choose to be patient, and you choose to be gracious. And then something happens, you realize, oh, I was misreading the whole thing. They're really a good person, or they're flawed like I am, but they have these great qualities and these great attributes. And so we can be friends. And before you know it, they're calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning for some help, and you're there to help. Or you're calling them and they're there to help you. Anyway, you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to come back and read all these comments. I just wanted to get this one in there. No. Oh, good. I'm glad you said this. Kent said something really important, really fast. This comes from, I don't remember. I don't know if this is Wing Chun or Bando, or it was one of the martial arts. I'm probably not Krav Maga, although I can see Krav Maga guys doing it. No offense, Krav. But they're like, this idea that you can put your hands here, so if the punch comes, you're going to, impossible. It doesn't happen. The brain signal can't get from here to here fast enough. You're going to be smashed, and your hands are here, and it's going to be caught on camera. This is how we know it doesn't work. Back in the 60s, maybe it was, when all the guys, 60s, probably 70s, everybody's coming back from Vietnam. They did, 3 months of Shotokan or Goju-Ryu in Okinawa, and now they're Kung Fu master, Ed Parker kind of thing. And then, they're a bouncer in a club, and somebody came up with this idea, and they thought that if they stand like this, they'll be able to do that. And you simply can't. You want to block that punch, get your hands up. First thing you do, hey, buddy, back, learn how to de-escalate. Hey, I can see you're having a hard time. I understand, but your hands are here. And the reason they're here, this is the flinch block. One hand's in front of the other. You just bladed your body. You step back with your foot and pull yourself away from it a little bit, create some striking power of that back hand, and put yourself in what's called the flinch block. This will stop him from hitting you right in the face. Because if it's a haymaker, you're going to flinch into it. If it's a punch coming to your face, you're going to flinch into it. And then you can close the distance, and you can do the things we talked about earlier, because you're like this. If you're like this, you're never going to, I don't care who it is. And I think it came in the 70s before there were cameras everywhere. Now that there are cameras everywhere, we see the guy, the bouncer in the bar. That's what I was looking for earlier. And he's standing here because he was taught this, or the law enforcement officer who was a little bit older, and he was taught this. And before he knows it, the guy has closed the distance and he's shivved him 30 times. Or he gets punched in the face and his hands are coming up after he's already been punched. Your hands, same thing with down here. This is how they used to teach the Hoshinsul and Korean style martial arts, the one steps in karate. And they would start hitting you, they do all this stuff from this position. And that's, in my opinion, not effective either, because your hands aren't going to get up enough, fast enough. The only time that's different is when you're in the dojo or the dojang, for those Korean guys among us, because in there, he steps back like this first, to let you know that he's getting ready to punch you in the face, and then you respond to it from this position. But when I teach you self-defense, first thing I say is, hey, make sure because you're paying attention to what's happening around you. You know your exits already, and you're already starting to turn, and you're starting to interrupt his patterns. This is a pattern interrupt. My hands go between me and your line of sight. You are not going to punch straight in anymore. You're going to have to either swing on me, or you're going to turn, or better yet, I'm going to turn you, and I'm going to interrupt your pattern and make you think consciously whether or not you want to punch me or not. Just because you're used to punching people in the face and you amp yourself up, which is what some people do, now I'm going to interrupt that, and I'm going to teach you how to defend yourself practically, starting in this position. So I'm glad you asked that question, but no, I know this is the same. It's the same as the 1 inch punch. That's not myth, but it's corny. It doesn't work. 1 inch punch, and oh, I know what the other one was. Palm strike to the nose, dislodge the cartilage, send it through his brain, instant death. That's also a myth. That's not true. So you're not going to kill anybody with a palm strike to the nose, but you can smash his nose and break it and make his eyes water and the snot come running out, and he's choking on his own snot and make it really hurt and make it hard for him to see you. But you're not killing him. You're not. This isn't going to dislodge and go into his brain and instant death. There's a lot of those myths that are still out there. You can stick that elbow and dislocate his jaw or break his jaw or cut him with the tip of your elbow, which is most likely to happen for a lot of people. And I had my nose split up like this, and I saw it coming, and I couldn't, and I had my hands up, and I couldn't get out of it away. Luckily, if I had been there, it would have smashed my whole face, probably would have put a bone, a hole in my skull. But I moved, and the very end of it just was a big, and I was afraid, to have 2 flaps of the nose. I wasn't sure I was going to sew it. Found the glue. The glue works really well. Just glue. It hurt, man, it hurt. And then it would sting, and it was nasty looking for like months, but it goes away. Anyway, point is, elbows work, palm strikes do work, but these myths, don't do this. Get your hands up. And this is the international sign that I don't want to fight. That way, when all the cameras are video and you're saying things like, you don't have to like me, but don't come any closer, or back up. If you come any closer, I'm going to defend myself. Get away from me. Step back. And now all of that evidence is there for the police officer to see, or more importantly, the judge and the jury, that, my client said several times he would defend himself. He was trying to stop the fight. He was trying to de-escalate. You can see him taking a step back. You can see him turning, trying to interrupt his pattern, trying to get him to choose not to hurt my client. And when he closed the distance to hurt my client, he had a pocket self-defense stick, that loaded weight, and he, because one hand's open, one hand's closed, or whatever it was. You get my point. He defended himself. So, and you don't do this just for the cameras. You do this because this works. When your hands are open, you have a much firmer block. When your hands close, you have a tighter fist, much firmer fist, but your hands don't move. Just having your fingers open, it's tendon lock. You're a lot stronger in this position. And it's better for takedowns. You can stop them from taking you to the ground sometimes, unless they're like a jiu-jitsu blue belt or above, you're probably going to the ground. But if they wrestled in high school, but a lot of those guys are pretty decent guys. They're not going to be messing with you. You're worrying about the criminally ill guy walking down the street, punching little girls in the head, and you're not going to let him touch your little girl, right? He's not touching my kid. Anyway, that's where I'll stop.